Yes. Sorry, I've been taken over by an alien force there. It's fine now. Welcome. Howdy, friends and foreheads is what I'm trying to say. Let's cut that out of the YouTube video. A long journey has taken our investigators to distant Bangkok, where they continue to pursue the cult of an entity called the Thing with a Thousand Mouths. They have retained the services of a local guide called Manit, who was recommended to Alice by His Majesty's diplomatic service, although it's not entirely clear if he's ready to learn about the supernatural nature of their mission. They have scouted out the residence of apparent cult member Daniel Lohman, as well as a local shop, which is apparently a front for some manner of underground fighting ring, but there have been no real breakthroughs just yet. And we pick up on a Monday morning in Siam, where they continue their investigations. Elsewhere, I know how long it's been, Captain. The familiar face of Samson Trammell appears, talking on the phone in a small office that has clearly been recently refurbished and repainted. But you haven't found them yet, have you? They have the testament. Who knows what they've been able to learn from it? We haven't heard from Mexico in months. Malta's pumping out nectar by the barrel, and we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs because we don't know who has us in their sights. Give me something concrete I can go on, because I need us to start producing in volume again. Find them or tell me they're dead. He hangs up as we fade to credits.
We're here.
We're back in Bangkok. So basically on Sunday evening, you folks had sort of a sit-down planning session, such as it was. You have dispatched Manit off to do some research among his contacts locally, and I think the plan was to get a decent night's sleep and then head out and visit the British consulate in the morning. So unless anybody has anything else they want to accomplish tonight, we can move on to Monday morning, which for those keeping score at home is August 19th, 1935. So breakfast is served at the hotel. You're at the Hotel Europe, so it's a little more Western flavored than some of the stuff you might find locally. So the plan is to head out to see the ambassador. Is that what I was gathering?
I believe so, unless Alice has got things she wants to run over.
You can always find those on the way, really.
Are we driving, or we have to take one of those cart thingies?
You could rent a car just from the time you've spent around here. It's kind of cars are not always the best way to do it. I mean, you can get taxis, or you can get sort of a rickshaw equivalent type vehicle to take you around, and that's probably your best bet.
Let's try a rickshaw.
We've got to find the rickshaw driver who has no morals, so that way when we say back up and hit him again, he will.
Let Alice drive.
Nope.
Let's get a couple of rickshaws. And,
they're not super roomy. So, all right. You guys, hail a couple of rickshaws that I promised during the break I'll find out the correct name for what they're called in Thailand, and begin heading your way back north. It's actually a little bit past the center of town, in a slightly more outlying, a little bit swampier area. It looks like a fairly new construction on the outskirts of town. And as a history nerd, I'm compelled to point out that at this point in history, it was a legation rather than an embassy, because you didn't really get embassies until after World War II. But anyway, the fundamental purpose is the same. It's a representative of His Majesty's government. you arrive at the scene. It looks like it's maybe a 3-story sort of fancy office building, I guess is the best way to put it. There are certainly a number of people here, but it is not one of the bigger embassies or envoys you've seen. So you're able to head inside. There's a young man at reception who says, "Good morning. How may I be of service?"
Good morning. I was wondering whether the envoy is present today.
Well, he's in the office. His schedule is rather busy on the Monday morning. May I ask what it's regarding?
Well, I was wondering if I could have an appointment. We are in town on a fairly delicate matter that we wanted to run by the envoy with first.
And he sort of frowns a little bit when you say a particularly delicate matter. And he says, "May I have your name?"
And I'll give my name.
Okay.
But no, wait a minute. I'm going to give my husband's name.
Okay.
So Alice DeLacy.
Okay. He jots that down, and he he sort of picks up a phone and sort of murmurs quietly into it for a minute or so. And he says, "Well, the minister is available for a few minutes if you'd like to speak with him now. Otherwise, it would need to be later this afternoon, I'm afraid."
Now will be good.
Very good. And he, sort of gestures to a boy, really about probably 16 or so, who basically serves as a runner, says something to him in Thai, and he basically gestures for you to follow him. Lead you upstairs to the 3rd floor, where you are brought to an office that is labeled for John Cadbury, Envoy Extraordinary and Minister Plenipotentiary, which is a big title for a small office like this. And he knocks, and there's a "Come in," and he opens the door and heads off down the hall. And there is, an older man, probably close to 60. He's almost the archetype of a British third world bureaucrat. He doesn't have the monocle, but he's he's got a substantial beard and kind of a heavy set fellow. And he stands up and says, "Good morning. Please come in. I hope they told you I don't have very long, but it sounds like you may have a matter of some urgency, and I'd love to find out what you've what we can do to assist you."
Okay. I only need a few minutes of your time. My father-in-law, the Earl de Lacy, has asked myself and my companions to look into some, possibly, some activities going on in Bangkok that might negatively impact the crown. And I was told and then I mentioned the name of the contact that I met up with in London, whose name I forgot.
Sir Edgar, okay.
Sir Roger. Sir Roger mentioned that you might be, he mentioned that you would be the person to go to, that you would, if there's anybody who could assist, that it would be you here. We are, sorry.
No, it's all right. It's just I appreciate your coming to see me. I suppose the question is, if this is a matter of some delicacy, as you say, and some potential impact to the crown's fortunes, I don't think it's something we'll be able to cover in a few minutes here. Can you give me some more detail? I mean, we're all friends here. This office is secure.
Of course. Well, I think unless it's more a matter of that you might be able to find out some more information on a certain Daniel Lohman and I mentioned the address.
Right.
We're not quite
down the
sure
name.
whether he might be British or whether he's, well, like myself, American. But we figured that, well, you would have the contacts. Otherwise, perhaps you've already run into him or have the contacts to look into some further details that we might find.
As you're finishing that sentence, like as soon as he got the name, he sort of brought this book out of a drawer and starts flipping through it, and says, well, he's not listed among any British nationals that I know of that are currently in Siam. Now, obviously, we don't require anyone to come here and check in with us. We recommend it. But so if he is a Crown citizen, he hasn't contacted us. Do you think he's involved in some manner of espionage, or what are we expecting here?
It's more along the lines of illicit trade.
Well, as I say, I don't have any record of him at the moment, but I can certainly make some inquiries.
If you could do so, that would be most helpful. And I think, well, I don't need to mention it, but it is quite, well, as you can see from the Earl and Sir Roger asking us to do so, it is quite, it's a bit unusual, so we're going through a bit through outside channels.
And he kind of looks at the four of you who are in some ways an unlikely group. And so he says, so you'll forgive me for asking, you're American.
Yes.
Sir Edgar has apparently entrusted you with this matter in some capacity. What exactly is your role in this situation?
Brian,
Mm-hmm.
real quick, could Adrian try to get a read on this guy if he got any more frantic after Alice mentioned why we're here, and then if his tone changed any amount significantly whenever she mentioned specifically illicit dealings?
Sure, you certainly have enough, interpersonal skills that, I'm not even going to make you spend anything on that. You get the impression that he doesn't seem to have recognized the name of Lohman at all. He definitely recognized the name of Sir Edgar back in the diplomatic service. Your impression of him is that he is a career bureaucrat who is being very careful about his own position. He doesn't want to get caught up in anything. He doesn't want to give information away to somebody who doesn't really, it doesn't deserve to have it, or, he doesn't want to, he's very careful about stepping wrong, is the impression you get from him overall.
Alice is just going to smile for a moment and then say, you know Sir Edgar, and a lady never tells.
Okay. Would you be interested in spending a point of reassurance to back that up?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Can I interest you in a spend?
Yeah, so he sort of, nods very slowly when you say that. He says, well, as I say, I do have another appointment I need to get to in a moment here, but if you can let me know how I can get in touch, I'll certainly find out whatever I can and reach out to you.
Of course,
I'll
I'll quickly scribble. We are staying at the Hotel Europe.
I know
and, if you leave a message at the desk, I'm there under a different name. And there I'll mention Alice Ross Cavill.
Okay, and he just kind of smiles a tiny bit and nods and writes it down.
Okay.
And says, well, I apologize I wouldn't be able to be of any more immediate assistance, but I will
Thank you so much.
endeavor to help.
This is already a lot of help. Thank you very much. I will be sure to let Sir Edgar know, and of course the Earl.
Thank you very much. And you are brought back out to the front of the embassy.
Okay.
litigation.
So
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I imagine that we're standing there on the side street
Mhm.
looking for some rickshaws, and I look at the
Mhm.
others and I say, well, let's hope Manit finds something.
So thanks. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Meg.
I was gonna while we're waiting on the rickshaws, Adrian's just gonna slightly pull Alice aside just to do they see?
Yeah. He was James. James was the second son.
Oh, second son. That sounds like high class.
It was. They weren't very amused when he came back with me.
Oh, you just make me love you even more every day.
Mhm.
I'll have to hear more about him later.
So you are able to find what Mac's rapid research, and thank you very much, Mac, has determined is apparently a samlor, which is sort of like a bicycle rickshaw type of operation. So you're able to get into those. And are you heading back to the hotel?
I might ask the Samoa driver is Kokrak Island. Is that anywhere near here?
He kind of frowns and says, I do not know the name. I cannot go to an island.
Well, of course not. But I mean, is it close to the harbor or?
And he sort of shrugs. He
Oh,
clearly
okay.
doesn't recognize the name.
Excuse me, sir. Sports goods store, baseball bat, gloves. Do you have one here?
He kind of thinks about it for a minute. He says, like cricket.
Yeah, cricket. Mhm.
Sure, he says. And he he starts pedaling off back towards the center of town. And he eventually heads into a sort of a more markety area and pulls up next to a space where there is I wouldn't call it a shop, but there's basically like a little awning out in front of a store, in front of which there are like some cricket bats and field hockey sticks and balls and gloves and other croquet mallets, other assorted mostly British style stuff.
Okay.
From the way
Sounds
the
good.
proprietor greets him, you imagine it's probably run by his cousin or something.
Sal's going to buy, if they don't have baseball bats, a cricket bat.
Yeah, I mean it's a little wider and flatter, but has much the same effect when applied to a skull.
And as soon as
absolutely.
I figure out what Sal's doing, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that's a great idea. So I buy one as well.
Yeah, do you know any like gardening areas where get some like shears and
Well, I think that's what Alice is looking at the other. She picks up a croquet bat and is looking at the cricket bats that you like, and she says, "Such a boring sport."
Truly an American.
Yeah, so boring. And I'll, kind of, she has the croquet whatever
Mallet.
and then puts it back and says, mallet, the croquet mallet, and then says, perhaps is there a cooking shop where we could buy, I don't know, cooking utensils, knives?
And there's a little back and forth. The proprietor apparently doesn't speak any English, but between the driver, he's able to point to something down the road. Yep, exactly. And the driver will whisk you down after you finish your purchases here. And you come to a place and it has a lot of knives, cookware, woks, pottery, all manner of stuff.
As we leave the store, Sal's going to turn to Alice and says, "Let me make this clear. There is only one sport, and this sport is baseball." And with that, he smiles.
Alice is going to say, I was always more a boxing girl. And she'll walk into the shop and she's going to buy a nice sharp kitchen knife and see if she can find some scissors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Anything else we want to get while we're out?
Just to kind of get a better understanding of the layout of the town, Adrian is going to be keeping an eye on how many tattoo parlors and tobacco shops there are, just things like that. Anything like that. Just how often do they spread out, or is it like very rare that you find shops for things like that?
Tattoo shops seem to be fairly common. It certainly depends on what part of town you're in. But it seems like it's a not uncommon thing around here. Tobacco shops tend to be in like the more well-to-do / westernized parts of town. It doesn't look like the vice has spread quite as far here among the native Thai. But yeah, neither of them are particularly rare.
Oh yeah, just trying to get a sense of if I guess Western vices are kind of a thing here with alcohol and tobacco, seeing if that's like a very common thing here or if it's a bit different.
I mean, alcohol is a universal vice. There are
alcohol is
bars
universal.
everywhere.
like the whiskey bottles and things like that, like very Western drinks.
Yeah, you'll see some of that. It's like, usually you'll go to a someplace, a club or a bar, and they'll have a lot of various local things. And then there'll be like a little section of the shelf, which has, gin and whiskey and, various sort of European drinks.
I have a question.
Does Adrian still have a umbrella?
Of course.
Oh, you've got your own. Okay.
Chris?
When I spend a point of preparedness, I actually want to buy an entire kind of player cricket set with a bag and everything. I think that walking the streets with just a single cricket bat would look,
Curious.
somewhat curious. But having, a bag full of cricket equipment would not be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you just want to buy that, you wouldn't need to spend a point for that. You can just, sort of grab the gear and get it set up. Preparedness is basically like, oh, I have one of those.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
So, but yeah, you can certainly get the whole kit, so it looks a little more natural.
Alice is going to pipe up. Are you getting the? You need to get the clothes as well. I mean, you need to look the entire picture.
They have clothes for the
There's this. I'm sure we can get you perhaps the local uniform for the Thai. Sir, do you have what's the local cricket team?
He gives you the name of something in Thai.
Okay. Do you have a suit for them or local colors?
I mean, it's a slow process to figure out. It seems like, they do have colors. I mean, the cricket uniforms are almost universally white throughout. It's like the leggings are different colors, and that's kind of the extent of it. So I mean, he can certainly come up with some.
Okay, and for my friend, he's a bit big,
and he sort of looks at Sal, and he just shakes his head, and he says, no, too much, too big.
Do you still have that mariachi band suit?
I do. Yes.
You bring it with you all the way to Thailand?
Actually, I probably would not have. However, I do need to replace it.
Now that you can spend a point of preparedness on.
Yeah. I would not have brought the mariachi suit.
Fair enough.
Doesn't go with the culture. So he needs to find something culturally that, he can center his wardrobe around.
Ooh, we can get him like a Thai temple dancer thing with a big hat, and or maybe not. All right, so that's true. I'm not going to tell him he doesn't. All right, so you guys, I guess, are making your way back to the hotel, having finished up here. All right,
head back for lunch.
Yeah, get back, unpack all of your paraphernalia, and reorganize things. Sort of as you're finishing lunch, Manit comes in and comes over and sits down at your table. Sort of looks around, makes sure no one's listening too closely, and he says, "You have some interesting friends," he says. So I can tell you that this Daniel Lohman is an American. He is he seems to have connections with some local gangs. I get the sense that he is protected. No one wants to give him trouble because he has friends among these gangs. He seems to be one who is involved in distributing bribes to the government and police and such. As for the shop we went to yesterday, it seems that there is a fairly popular underground fighting ring, I suppose you would say, that starts there. And he can tell you that there is a special phrase that you say if you hold up a 1 baht bill and a 20 baht bill and tell them, "I have come for the exhibition," they will take you to see the fights.
Are the fights in the evening or in the day?
It seems like they are about every few days, every 3 or 4 days in the evening.
Okay. Do you know if there's going to be one this evening? Can you find out?
I believe there is one scheduled for this evening, yes.
Okay. So it's 21 baht to see it, not participate.
Yes, I do not know how you would participate, but from the stories I've heard about it, I'm not certain that you would want to. They are, by all accounts, very brutal affairs.
Any word or any talk of illicit drugs, either with Loman or with this shop? Is there any involvement there?
I mean, he kind of, shrugs a little bit and he says, there are a great deal of illicit drugs in Bangkok. If Loman is involved with these local gangs, I am sure they have some drugs that they are dealing or managing. It is a very common problem here. I do not know of anything specific he's involved in. I can try to find out, but with the connections he has, I will have to be careful.
And have you heard Kokrak Island? Does that ring any bells? Is that somewhere near here?
He says, "I don't know the name. There are many islands in the bay of Bangkok, but I can. I can spend time trying to find that. You would probably do better in the library while I'm spending time on the street. I don't know anything specific about that. No."
Okay.
Go ahead.
Don't put yourself at too much risk for us, all right? We really appreciate everything you're doing, but don't lose your life for this. A lot of people already have.
Oh, Dr. Adrian, I'm a very careful man, but I thank you for your concern. And if you're done with him, he just kind of nods and heads out.
Well, before he heads out, I think I look at the others and say, "Do we go see the fight this evening?"
We can talk about it.
We'll need somebody there to translate.
Manit, would you be willing to come with us if we decide to see a fight?
I won't say it's something I would want to do for fun, but if you need someone with you, and I think you probably would, yes, I would go with you.
And once Manit leaves and it's just the four of us, I think I look a little agitated, frustrated. What are we doing?
Well, we're trying to find SS. We're trying to find whatever's going on here.
And the island? That seems to me like the likely place where they'd be producing this nectar.
Yeah, but like Manit said, there's islands everywhere. I mean, if we I think either we can knock on Daniel Lohman's door, or we can say the passphrase and go into one of those fights. But these are pretty much the only leads we have. I'm open to suggestions.
I don't have any answers. I just know I want to get this. We need to find this and get rid of it. And I don't want to be here longer than we need to be.
Sal, Adrian, any ideas? Any better ideas than let's see the fight? I mean, then perhaps we see others. Perhaps we'll see Lohman. I mean, I don't think trying to.
Do we know what Lohman looks like?
You do not.
I don't think so.
Well, he's American.
He looks American.
Probably. So. Why? I mean,
Going to see the fight would be the quickest way, not only to get a bit more information, but also potentially to see the effects of this nectar. Figuring out if they use it as a narcotic, or if it's a accelerant for the fighters.
and perhaps, I mean, there's also one other. I mean, we can, we stir things up and make them come to us.
I kind of look at Sal and nod at that.
Perhaps we ask Manit if he can. I mean, it's good we've got the baseball bats, and I pat my
It's not
my
a
medical
baseball
bag.
bat.
Sorry, I'm with the cricket bats. Oh god, the cricket bats, and I pat my medical bag, and I say, enough. I've got some new scissors, but perhaps Manit can get us some firepower. But I think, as you said, James, let's get this done, and then hopefully get out of here.
All right. So what is the next step?
I think I'm going to suggest to Dr. Adrian that we go to the library real quick, see if we can't geolocate this island.
Okay.
So if the doc doesn't mind me tagging along, I think the two of us might go do that.
Okay. Sal and Alice, what do you guys want to do in the interim?
I think for Sal's part, he needs to get a better picture of the underworld here, as far as street gangs and things like that. So he may just take a few rickshaw or samlords and just go over the town or city and whatnot, and just see what he can do with his streetwise.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
Alice is going to stay back in the hotel in case any messages come in, and organize her medical bag, and just otherwise have a drink and contemplate.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Adrian and James, you're able to head out to the library. It's a short ride. It's a very sort of old-fashioned building, very sort of traditionally Siamese, but inside, library-wise, it looks very Western. There are certainly some older areas where there are things that are actually like scrolls, but most of it's just regular old books and such. And the librarians have more English than a lot of the local residents, so they're able to get you to the area of local atlases. And it doesn't take long to find on the map. Kokruk Island is a very small island, so the Bay of Bangkok is kind of squarish, and down along the eastern edge of it, there's like a string of large islands, and there's like a very small island off the coast of one of the bigger islands that is labeled Kokrook. You know, it's you're able to locate it. It looks like, I mean, a boat ride from here would be a little bit challenging. There's actually a city farther south on the coast that would probably be easier to get to it from. But it's certainly accessible. There's no real indication, at least on the maps, of who or what lives there, or what it is. But there may be some other research you could do on that.
Is there any records of old trading routes for any that go to this island?
I mean, you can certainly find a lot of old old maps that include travel. It doesn't look like it was a particular port or way station for anybody around the area. There's the island next to it, which is Kolan Island. Looks like it was a little bit more of a port and place for refitting ships, but Kokrook itself seems not to have had any real importance.
It's not just Sarah James. It seems like their main spots are always secluded and unassuming.
Well, considering what they're doing, that doesn't surprise me.
But how does that mean that the mouth gets there?
I have no idea.
If the area itself isn't significant, then maybe something happens around that area, like the lightning strike that seems to have affected the house. Perhaps there's some similar weather effect there. If we keep an ear out for particular folk tales about storms, we might find something. But for now, we know where the island is, and we know where it would be easiest to get to it, and we know where there might be a bit more of a populated one, if we need.
All right. So meanwhile, we see Sal sort of crammed into a samlor, just sort of perusing the area, getting a feel for things. Sal, would you like to spend a point of streetwise?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So you're kind of doing a little thing around, and honestly, for the most part, it looks to you like any sort of poorer district in terms of the crime that's going on. You see a lot of people are running some kind of street corner gambling operation. There are clearly people selling drugs in different areas. It's the same class of crime you would see in Chicago or anywhere else, just the trappings are different, but it's the same sort of thing. And as you're kind of getting a feel for the place, you sort of are circling back along the main road that leads back to the hotel. And as you're going past Lohman's townhouse, you actually see someone coming out.
Okay, I'm going to tell the driver to slow up a bit, take a
Okay.
breath, take a breather,
Okay.
and
Okay.
just look at other houses and things like that, and give him kind of give the impression that I'm allowing him to take a break before we go on.
Right.
Because Sal's not a small guy.
He's not light. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like cycling around a side of beef.
Worse than one. Yeah, so basically the guy that comes out looks Western. He's not Siamese. Maybe 5'8", big reading glasses on, and he's carrying what looks like a wicker basket with a cloth over it under one arm, and he just kind of heads off up the street.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get the driver to follow him at a distance
Okay. I can say that from what you've seen of the way traffic works here, um, if he was going slowly enough to not overtake him, because these things actually go at a decent speed, he would probably look obvious. It would like be holding up other traffic.
Okay, so I will go ahead and disembark here, and
Okay.
I will shadow him.
Okay, sounds good. Now we get to do some shadowing tests. So basically, the way Pursuit works. What are you so excited about, Greg? Basically, the way Pursuit like this works in Trail of Cthulhu is both parties are making shadowing rolls, and basically to see who, if he notices you or gives you the slip or otherwise there. So basically, I'm just double checking here.
Definitely want to try to find areas that will obscure line of sight. So I'm just not following him out in the open. I'm dodging into store for a second and things like that. Just because Sal is pretty noticeable.
That's true.
I need to focus on not being there as much for him to actually say this guy's following me.
Absolutely. So basically the way it's going to work, and I'm just double checking to make sure I haven't missed anything here. Basically I'm going to roll a die for him, and that will set the target number that you need to make on your shadowing roll.
Okay.
And we'll do that for every sort of segment of distance or everything that he's up to. So let me just double check. I don't think he's especially good at shadowing now, so I'm just going to roll him a d6 and we'll see how he does.
Roll a 1 or a 2.
Close. Yeah, so basically you just need to get a 2, so you can either just spend a point of shadowing and tap it, or roll the die and probably be fine.
I will go ahead and spend this.
Okay. Piece of
just
cake.
in case.
Yeah, despite the the fact that you stand out so much, it's actually a very crowded and busy street. He doesn't seem to be paying a lot of attention. There are a couple times when you just sort of stop by and have to quickly focus on looking at something from a street corner vendor or whatever, but he doesn't seem to have any awareness that you're behind him.
Yeah.
And basically he heads down and let's see. He heads into like a slightly more disreputable part of town. He kind of goes off the main street and down into some alley areas. It's a little bit of a rougher neighborhood. He doesn't he doesn't look like he's concerned in any way about it.
Yeah, that was certainly my next question, was when we go down there, are the denizens of said, disreputable area looking at him, are they looking at him from the viewpoint of he's a target or mark, or are they, hey, we're watching out for this guy?
You would actually see at one point there's like a couple of young, toughs on one of the corners he's looking for, and as one of them sees him coming, he kind of looks to his partner and kind of cocks his head over in, who is presumably Loman, cocks his head in his direction, and his partner just shakes his head and says something to him in Thai, and he kind of relaxes back against the wall.
Okay.
And then after a few minutes, he looks like he spots somebody that he recognizes, and kind of walks over to him. Again, this looks like you would guess it's probably, if he's a local criminal, he's like a gang boss or somebody like that, somebody a little higher up in the structure. And Loman, or whoever he is, kind of walks straight up to the guy and starts not exactly yelling, but he's talking to him in Thai in a very
aggressive fashion.
It's like he's giving him a talking to, addressing down. You see him poke his finger at him a couple times, and he the guy he's talking to looks nervous about it. I mean, physically, he looks like he'd certainly take Loman, but there's apparently some implication going on there that he might be in trouble.
Okay. Again, try to make myself as scarce as possible in this
Okay.
area, and utilize alleys and whatnot for cover.
Yeah, and you see, kind of some of the same kind of people that you saw before looking at Loman sort of look you up and down and probably conclude that it's not worth the trouble.
Okay.
But yeah, so after a few minutes of this conversation, the guy kind of gives a little sort of bow and steps away, and Loman keeps walking.
Okay. Give him
Can
a
you
few
follow?
minutes to get. Yep. Give him a few minutes to get stepped out and follow discreetly.
All right, I will need another contested roll here.
Ooh, wow.
He's a little more wary in this part of town, apparently, despite the fact that he doesn't feel endangered.
Okay. Spend everything I've got left.
All righty. No problem. Yeah, so he's again, particularly after he walks away from this guy he was yelling at, he sort of glances over his shoulders if he's wondering if the guy's going to try something. He definitely doesn't, but you're able to follow along. And he sort of circles back around to the main part of the street and heads into what looks like a government building of some kind.
Okay.
There's probably enough signage in language you can figure it's some kind of just local administrative office or whatever.
Okay.
And he kind of disappears into that building.
Okay. I will make note of it.
Okay.
Is this still a disreputable area?
No, this is more
Okay.
clean cut.
Okay. I'm not going to push my luck.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and get a Sam Lord to take back to the hotel.
All right.
Again, making sure to note the location, street.
Yeah.
And
No problem at all.
Okay.
All right. And then was there anything else the library team needed to do? Okay. So I guess everybody can reconvene at the hotel. Alice, nobody comes with any message or anything for you. So, in an hour or two, everybody circles back.
Once we're all together, Sal will say, well, I got some good news. So I happened to find myself near Loman's place on a Sam Lord. The driver was panting because, hey, I'm not a small guy. So anyway, out of Loman's house comes this little mousy looking guy. And I describe him, short, thick glasses and things like that. Yeah. And he goes on a walkabout. And I kind of followed him. We went down some of the regular traveled areas into let's just say some not so nice parts of the city. At one point, I saw a couple of hoodlums looking at him like he was a target. One of them just shook his head, and that was it. So evidently, this guy's protected. I also saw him go up to some sort of street boss, I guess, and was just giving him hell to pay, pointing his finger and pushing and just doing that stuff. And the guy took it. I mean, this guy could have whipped this little dude's ass with a quickness, no doubt about that. But he seemed scared of him. So anyway, after he was done flaunting his authority or whatever he was doing, he goes into this almost a government-looking building. It's located at, I give them the location, and that's where I lost him at.
I would imagine it takes a good bit of money to get that much respect, and that much
absolutely.
connection. So
if he'd done that to me when I was in Chicago, I would have pounded his ass to pace and call it a day.
Just kidnapping him may be off the list of possible things.
Don't know if it was him or not. I couldn't tell you whether it was him or not, but whoever he was, he got a set of brass ones.
Could you get any idea of what he was mad at the doorman about?
You mean the street boss?
Hmm.
He was speaking rapid fire Thai. I mean, my Thai is non-existent anyway. But even if I were a native speaker, I probably would have had trouble keeping up because it was nonstop.
And just to clarify from Sal's perspective, it didn't look like he was angry. It really looked more kind of like, all right, you're doing this thing that I don't like, and you're going to stop it right now. Just very kind of down to earth. Here's what's going to happen.
I will change. In that case, I will change my
Right.
tune on that. So
He was bossy.
Doing the boss thing, kind of like a guy that hasn't earned respect, but he's got protection and so hey, you just gotta take it.
Manito, perhaps reception knows what government building that is.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we can tell, he is, in essence, the front man of this branch of the operation. He's the one who gets all the deliveries and all the telegrams. So why are they trying to build him up
wouldn't
that
surprise
much?
me if that's where he does the bulk of his business, out of that office. Don't know. I mean, he certainly fits the stereotype of a pencil pusher.
Was not of any particular renown outside of that ring. The what was his title? The Extraordinaire.
Oh, the Minister Plenipotentiary?
The Minister Plenipotentiary. Didn't seem to recognize him, although, I mean, he didn't. For someone that seems like he would be quite interested in bureaucracy, I think that he would know somebody who was in high status both on the streets and in government. So it seems like his influence is mostly in those illicit affairs.
I don't know what this penitentiary thing is, but yeah, it makes sense. He's certainly probably done work there, but maybe his contacts there. That's who he's doing business with. But like I said, he went to the I wouldn't call it bad because Chicago's bad. This place is more like kind of a lukewarm bad. And he he walked the streets like he owned it.
Probably does.
Probably. Like I said, brass kahoonies.
If he owns the streets, then at this point he definitely would have had to have heard about 4 odd-looking Americans walking around asking a lot of questions. But he hasn't come to us first.
Yeah, but so far we haven't. We've only asked the Minister of the Plenipotentiary questions. It's been Manit who's been looking into things for us. So we're just 4 American tourists so far. I can imagine if we're going to the fight this evening, we might stand out. Well, perhaps there's more Westerners there as well. I think maybe we send him a note.
What do you think we would say?
I don't know. Jonathan sent us. But I still think going to the fight tonight is the hottest lead we have.
I think from my perspective, they're not throwing the fights for the local entertainment. I think they're trying to bag the tourists and such. That'll make them a lot of money. So I think that we'll probably see many more Americanos there.
I don't know. Manny didn't mention that, but we'll see. And I think if we go there, we have an idea of what's taking place, whether we see anything that looks like what we saw in Los Angeles or in Mexico City. If you see who might be Daniel Lohman again.
I can point
And
him out.
then-
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then we see if I don't know, we try and make contact. Like we can pretend that Jonathan Brooks sent us. Perhaps we'd want to know what's in his house. I mean, if he's got any guards or anything, we might score an invitation and
I think it's safe to assume that we operate with him under the assumption of he has people and his guards.
yeah.
I think that's just a better plan.
And I think we go to the fight tonight. We keep our eyes and we keep our ears open. Manit is there, and let's see what comes up. Did you find anything in the library?
We found the location of the island and a bit more of a popular island right next to it. Curious to think if we could find out anything about freak weather incidents that happened there. See if that's a recurring theme about these unassuming places suddenly getting a bit more assuming.
Oh, we'll see.
If needed, it looked like Mr. Konovalov communicated specifically through telegrams, but there is written correspondence between SS and Trammell. I have a bit of a history of replicating signatures and handwritings. If you want to give that a try.
Might be something handy for us to have in
Perhaps
our literal back pocket.
Perhaps an introduction letter.
I can give it a try. We have a good amount of his writings.
Doc, you never cease to amaze me. I wouldn't have guessed that. You was a forger.
That's why I was the forager.
Nice.
But
You
perhaps
know,
indeed-
when we get done here and you need a job, let me know.
Oh, so I don't think your friends would like the things I have to say about them. I'd be done the first day.
Well, in case you find yourself just offering.
I appreciate it. But no.
But perhaps indeed an introduction letter from Trammell saying that,
Great idea.
you know, he's intrigued by what SS has said and that he's sent us on his behalf.
And Ryan, I think the skill we said that forging would fall under, was that bureaucracy? Because remember we were trying to figure out which one would be best for it early on.
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest thing we have.
Mhm.
You know, there's probably a couple others we could fake, but I think bureaucracy is viable.
Mhm.
Something like art or something?
I mean, art could also work, sure.
Craft?
I do have art, bureaucracy. Those are two that I think will
Huh.
work best.
I'm just looking. There is actually a forgery skill.
Oh, oops.
Is there? I thought that it doesn't say it on
At
the
least I'm seeing
sheet.
it in the rule book.
It doesn't say it on the sheet. That's weird.
Oh, you know what? These are optional abilities that we could have added. So okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. Never
right.
mind. I was like, why didn't we have that? Why didn't we list that among our assets? Yeah. So yeah, it says if it's not available, they would normally consider it under art. So
Art, perfect.
I think either way, you're a qualified person for it.
Mm-hmm. And I will turn to all of us to figure out the best wording for this.
Perhaps
Okay.
perhaps we have two introduction letters with us, one from Trammell and one from Brooks,
Smart.
so that we're prepared
Or
for
do we
both
have-
situations.
Or do we have Trammell say that Brooks is out of the picture?
Well, Trammell does not necessarily know that yet.
Trammell doesn't know that we're here.
No, but Brooks, they might not know that Brooks is out of the picture as well, and SS was corresponding with Brooks as well. So I think we have a note from both, and then
Alright.
we'll just see which one. Well, then we're ready for both situations. And then perhaps one of us has the Trammell note, one of us has the Brooks note.
All right, and generally these are just saying what, these people are work for me kind of thing.
I think something along the lines of, hey, you've all your tour, everything you've mentioned, you've piqued my interest.
They're here to witness the
and but both of them saying nasty things about the other, Trammell, you can't trust Trammell, or, Brooks is really going nowhere. And, these are show my people how it's done, and something like that.
Okay. All right. So you can certainly spend a little bit of time doing that. So, and then after that, is the plan just to sort of take it easy until heading out to the fights this evening?
Yeah, until fight night.
All right. Well, then I think our best bet is probably to go ahead and take a 10-minute break now, and then we'll pick up that evening at Fragrant Honey.
Perfect. Be right back.
Yep. right. So Monday evening rolls around. Money comes and picks you guys up at the hotel. He's dressed a little more. I don't know. He's dressed down a little bit from where you've met him before. And I don't know what any of you were wearing, but if any of you are like in a suit or anything like that, he kind of shakes his head and has you go, at least, take the jacket off and whatever. You don't want to look especially well-to-do is the impression he gets.
I think I mentioned that Alice is dark, just dark, simple clothing, and she's got her medical bag, or well, it's not evidently a medical bag, but a pretty big bag that she's carrying with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And before you leave the hotel, he will also kind of look at you and say, "Are you armed?"
I gave him a nod.
Okay.
Because I definitely have my piece in the small of my back. In my belt.
And he would say, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I think we will probably be okay to carry firearms. They may search you, but it does not seem like it's a particularly secure process. So I
we
would
be able to get our firearms here from the
I believe so,
not
but
the,
I would be
big ones. Yeah,
right, of course, but the sidearm. And he kind of shows you in the back of his waistband, he's got a revolver with him as well. But he says, I would be very careful before using them. This is likely to be a place that is full of dangerous individuals.
Adrian sort of lightly twirls his umbrella and then puts it over his shoulders like this. He's purposefully pulled up his hair a little, and he's just like in Mexico, just wearing his shirt and his trousers because he was already doing that because it was too hot. But now it looks intentional.
Very true.
He's just trying
Alice
to.
is-
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. He's getting to a very nonchalant pose as he has his umbrella over his shoulders like this, and then brings it back down when we start walking.
I think Alice looks her hair's back. She looks kind of an austere nanny, but you know the nanny that gives kid not the nice nanny. This is the the very strict nanny, and she has
the ones from the beginning of Mary Poppins,
exactly
something like that. And she has she's got a dress or a skirt on, and there are scalpels hidden here and there, and
got it.
And she's got some pockets. It's a very
of course.
This is a nanny whose bedtime story is how to tie a tourniquet.
Right.
Sal's going to be dressed as kind of a stevedore or dock worker. I mean,
Okay.
simple trousers, suspenders, white shirt, and just a floppy cap. He is too armed. He's got that 45 in the small of his back, and then he's got the 38 on an ankle holster.
Okay, sounds good. What does James look like this evening? Is he?
I came down in a suit until Manny said something, and then disgruntled, I went back upstairs, took my jacket off, unbuttoned a couple buttons, and came back down, and gave him the say it again look, like this is going to be fine.
He kind of shrugs.
You did your best, Mr. Clean Cut. Look at the window.
Yeah, I mean, you still stand out a bit, but it's probably fine.
I took my tie off, Manny.
Noted.
Cautiously approaches, trying in your periphery to just like reach out for your hair, just
ruffle it a bit.
Right there you go, that's her, and then just
literally the only person I would let do that.
bolts.
Right. So you guys pile into a couple of Samlors and head back out to the familiar busy confines of the street market around Fragrant Honey. You go in, you see the same little old woman proprietor and the bigger guy at the side door, and Money kind of goes up to the guy at the side door. He holds up a 20 and a 1 and says something to the guy in tie, and sort of nods back at the four of you, and the guy looks up and nods, and a couple more bills are handed over. He takes the 20 and he takes the smaller bill, and he sort of says something to a young boy, maybe 8 or 10, who's kind of squatting on the opposite side of this little alleyway, and gives him the bill, and he just kind of heads off down the alleyway, kind of motioning for you to follow him. And it's in kind of a maze of like back streets and alleys. You know, there's points where you like go down some stairs and you go into a building and through a couple hallways and then out into another alleyway, and you know, it's a whole process. It probably takes you 10 or 15 minutes to get where you're going. And eventually you are led to what looks like it used to be a warehouse, but any kind of side rooms or offices or anything have been gutted out. So it's just this sort of one big cavernous room. You know, you can see the little timber rafters up there. When you walk in, the place reeks of smoke and sweat and like old blood. You catch some whiffs of what's probably opium. It's basically set up. There is a pit, for lack of a better term, in the middle of the room, maybe 10 by 15 feet. Just kind of hard packed dirt with this wooden, you know, kind of like a split rail fence, except the points, you know, the bits going up are kind of sharpened bamboo. There's a big iron grate in the middle that, you know, the gaps in it are pretty big. It's not kind of something that would be safe out on the street, but it's all like that. You can see that around three sides of the thing there are these sort of cheaply built wooden risers that people are standing on. There's already several dozen people here, and there are more coming in as you look. And then on the fourth side, there is this big bonfire that is set up. That is really the only light in the place. You know, you can't really see the shadows in the corners or anything, but it illuminates sort of the fighting area. You know, you can see off in one corner, sort of by the bonfire, is what looks like a dentist chair, for reasons that aren't immediately clear but are vaguely uncomfortable. And there's a couple sort of heavyset guys kind of standing around that as if to guard it. And then a smaller, weedier looking guy is sort of, you know, he's fiddling with some stuff over there by the chair. And then there are some spiral stairways coming up from somewhere below. The crowd is mixed. There are probably more Westerners than you see in Bangkok in general. It's still a predominantly Thai crowd. You know, a lot of people are smoking and drinking. People seem to have brought bottles and stuff with them. You know, everybody, you know, it's a very, very rowdy crowd. You probably see some folks scuffling, you know, in one corner of the risers. So, I mean, you can certainly, there's still room for you to find a place to camp out. Do you want to be like closer to the fights, closer to the fire, closer to this, anywhere in particular, or just find a space?
I feel like we'd want to be where we can get the best view of the crowd, because I get a feeling that we're more interested in who's watching versus what's being watched.
Okay. Seems reasonable. Yeah, so you can get some stuff that's like kind of in the back in what would be the nosebleed seats. Not that they're all that high, so you can kind of get up back in the corner to have a pretty good overview of the place. And it you know, it continues to fill up. You can see that there are you know, there don't seem to be any fighters there yet. But clearly, you know, they're packing in probably about 100 people by the time it fills up. And then, you know, somebody hits like a little gong on the side of the thing, and you see a couple people come up. You know, one comes up each of the spiral staircases, and these do not look like, you know, your lean fit martial artist types, your big bruises. These just look like, you know, regular people, maybe a little more fit than most, but, you know, nothing that suggests this is the kind of person who would take part in a underground street fight. You know, as they come out, you can see there are a couple guys by each of the risers with little, you know, pads and styluses that look like they're taking bets. from the crowd, and the crowd's kind of sizing everybody up and kind of yelling at the two contestants. It's getting horrendously loud in here between the noise of the crowd and the odds makers and the fire and everything else. And then after a minute or so of taking bets, both the guys kind of clamber over the fence into the ring, and then somebody hits the gong again and the fight starts. I think even in the 1930s, you guys have heard stories of the martial arts of the East, about the smooth, the finesse, the skills they have at just making everything almost look effortless as they're fighting. This is nothing like that. These guys just crash into each other and start punching and biting and thumbs in the eyes. It is immediately clear there are no rules whatsoever in this. One guy has slightly more reach than the other one, but the little guy is quicker and kind of gets in underneath, sort of pile drives the guy to the ground, and just starts beating his head against the ground of the thing. This is just brutal, no holds barred. These guys are clearly trying to kill each other. And after a surprisingly short period of time, the bigger guy just stops moving. He twitches a couple times on the ground and lays still. The smaller guy kind of stands up, and he doesn't even really do a celebratory I won thing. He just kind of stands up and kicks the body, and then goes wandering off towards the stairway that led him down again. Bits of the crowd, some cheer, some groan. Money changes hands with the bookies, and you see a couple staff, I guess, come in to the pit with machetes, and they basically start chopping the body up and shoving the bits into the grate. Yeah, there is nothing even remotely organized about this. This is just people fighting to the death for entertainment. I'm probably going to want you each to make me a stability check.
Yeah,
because whatever you were expecting, it wasn't this. It's only going to be a target number of 4, and it's only going to be a 1-point loss. Alice has seen worse.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I lose.
Would Adrian have any specific detriments to this check, being that his drive is artistic sensitivity, one of his main pillars of stability is the beauty and fairness and dignity of all humans?
I mean, it's up to you. I would say it's entirely reasonable for you just to fail the test because of that, but I'm not gonna make you do it mechanically, but I think from a character standpoint it makes sense.
Okay.
So up to you.
Would you like me to roll just
Yeah, if you like.
I'll just say, like, for whenever it's things like this, I think I'll just say that he can't spend any points for it.
Okay.
Going forward.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Let's see. I keep forgetting how to roll it.
Just click on the word stability on the far left.
Oh, test. Okay. There we go.
So I wonder why this, even though it's sort of the antithesis of everything Adrian stands for, I wonder what it is about this that makes him tolerate it so well.
He's not really tolerating it. It's more a thing of, this is the exact mindset that he took in Austria, where he looks at the injustice head on, so he knows that he has the fight in him to get rid of it, essentially.
I like that.
This may hit him later. It's definitely going to hit him later, but right now it's just fuel. It is just fuel.
No, I like that. That's perfect. So yeah, I mean, and within a few minutes of the first guy dying, it looks like they're ready to start another match. You can see during the match and like during the break between, occasionally some people will go over to the place where the dentist chair is. They give one of the guard type guys presumably some money, and they basically put him in the chair, tip it back, like tip his head back. One of the guys holds his nose and they take what looks like a little shot glass and just dump it down his throat. And, then he sits back up and he jumps out, and it looks like, I don't know how many of you have any direct experience with this, but it's like somebody who just took a hit of cocaine. He's really kind of hopped up, and you see him sort of pushing his way back through the crowd, a little more of an aggressive vibe.
Do we have a sense of the source of this, the contents, right? So I get
there's
the delivery.
There's like a big cooler,
Okay.
with a little spigot on the bottom,
Got
just
it.
kind of like a wooden barrel with a tap in it, that he's pulling the stuff out of.
I think if Alice, and she might need a point of preparedness, that when we settle down up in the nosebleed section, is she opens her bag and takes out these small little binoculars, but opera binoculars.
Opera glasses, got it.
Opera glasses.
Yep.
Which look, extremely fine and quite expensive.
A little out of place here, but
entirely out of place, and that she's, she determined quite quickly, like, the fighting this, it's just barbaric. And so she's, with her binocular glasses, she's watching going over the stands, the dentist, she's honed in on where they're getting that.
and you can see, as you're doing it out of the barrel, in the little glasses, you can see that it's got that sort of pale, vaguely orange color that you've seen before. So it looks like it's the same stuff.
And I'm just, scanning the crowd to see if there's, who's around there, if there's anybody who stands out or meets the description that that Sal gave earlier, or just looking. Yeah.
So looking around, you're pretty sure, and Sal, you're also pretty sure, you don't see any sign of Loman or whoever that guy was here. Most of the folks that are here, you would see probably on a couple of the people who are in, like, doing the cleanup between the matches and kind of thing. A couple of them have what look like similar tattoos to the ones that you saw on the people in Savannah. The only person that really stands out to you is there's a guy who's off to the side who seems to be kind of directing things insofar as there's any sort of plan. He's the one that gestures for somebody to hit the gong and bring people up from downstairs and whatever, and he is enormous by Siamese standards. He's about Sal's size. He's hugely muscular. He's got scars and tattoos all over him. His nose looks like it's been broken half a dozen times.
And he's Siamese?
Yes. And he is he's got a machete on his belt, although he doesn't take part in any of the actual work that's there. And he basically seems like he is running the show, such as it is. As the fights go on, occasionally somebody from the audience, like there's one point where somebody like throws a cane or like a walking stick or something into the thing, and it takes the fighters a minute or two to notice, but at one point one of them picks him up and starts beating the other guy with it. But again, there's no rules, there's no structure. It's 2 men enter, 1 man leave, basically.
I think if any of you are looking at Adrian at any point, whenever there's a particularly vicious attack or whenever they're chopping up the bodies, it will be a bit uncomfortable how intently he's staring.
Yeah.
And you can't really get a specific emotion from him other than he is just very intently looking at it.
So basically this is continuing. Is there anything particular you guys want to do, or just kind of observe it? Manit, for his part, it just kind of is watching and looking around, and periodically he sort of looks back at the 4 of you like, what are we doing? But he seems content to keep a low profile and just sort of watch.
looking at the scene, Brian, if in theory I were to walk off the stands and like go over to the area where the dentist chair is and just kind of
Mhm.
loiter around there, would it be immediately noticeable, or is there a lot of people coming and going?
I mean, there's a lot of people milling around. I mean, over by the chair, it's mostly people who are, there's like a little queue to go up and get whatever it is. But I mean, if you didn't get too close, because there are, again, a couple guards there, 'cause apparently
Right.
these guys are collecting money. But as long as you didn't get too close, you think it'd be okay.
I would turn to the three of you and say, uh, I think one of us, and I'm happy to do it, needs to go down there and see if we can't talk up somebody to figure out the source of the juice in that barrel.
I wonder if we'd get that information at this time. I think.
Are the people that's hanging around, are they Thai or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all
I'd
the
have to take them
staff
immediately.
here do appear to be Thai. And he says, "Well, I can go. I imagine it's some kind of alcohol or drug. I don't know how much they're willing to tell us about it. Everybody here seems to already know what it is or what they want. So
No, Manit, you should not get near that stuff. That stuff is wrong.
And luckily you said that, because I was about to tell him to go. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're probably right. You see me put cash back in my wallet.
I'm thinking, and I nod towards the organizer guy. If there's anybody we'd like to talk to, but the question is this the way to get in contact with them?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I think that it's clear that in any case, and I look at Sal, I'm glad that we did not enter.
Uh-huh.
And
I'm pretty enamored with life.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Sal isn't afraid of a scrap, but this is a whole other
This
level.
is a whole new level. Yeah.
Perhaps we've seen this. We know what's going on there. That we perhaps we introduce ourselves to Daniel at his house. Send a note.
Yeah.
I glance back at the fighting and look away again. I think we've seen.
There's sort of an interlude between a couple of the fights where they have a couple dogs fighting.
Yeah,
it's not any better.
Perhaps I think we've seen what we need to see here.
I think I like the idea of the four of us just going to Loman's place with one of our letters of introduction and say, we need some updates to go back and report on. I like the idea of us, checking in on them. Who do we have a sense, Brian, of the two people we've created letters from? Do we understand the relationship enough to know which one would be the better one to claim to be representing?
I mean, it's hard to say, because you don't. I mean, you have a lot of the documentation, but you don't always have the context.
Right.
Like, so the book that you got from Trammell, where he had all of his stuff. There was a lot of between Trammell and this SS. There seemed to be a lot of sort of metaphysical arguments, for lack of a term. What is the nature of the thing that this cult is worshiping? And a lot of the things like that. Whereas, sorry, go ahead.
I have an idea.
Go for it.
Adrian has been doing extensive studies and theorizing on all of this. It would be very easy to pass him off as somebody who's here to debate if needed. So it may be good to go with Trammell, as we have that basis of their main arguments were about that metaphysical theorizing side. Having somebody who would be there kind of as a representative of that might be a good fallback plan if needed.
Okay. Also, you did find a letter in Mexico City from SS to Jonathan Brooks that was basically saying, that, you were being lied to by Echevarria, the guy who used to run the LA cult. So it sounds like, SS is maybe trying to get Brooks on their side. Whereas with Trammell, there was more of like a disagreement going back and forth. But
Perhaps
again, hard to say.
And I imagine that by now, perhaps we're leaving or we're back in this.
Sure, if you guys want to go, you can go. I mean, people will.
They're heading back. Is that I'm leaning, and I say to the others, is that I'm leaning more towards Brooks. I get the feeling from all the letters is that Trammell thinks he's the boss of everybody, and that Brooks and SS is trying to get Brooks on their side. Perhaps we can sow some dissent and say that, see if we can organize a telegram from Brooks to Lohman.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Saying that, Trammell's, he has to lay low. Trammell's done something, and that he's sending us that we should be arriving soon to see if they can come to some kind of alliance against Trammell, something like that. But in more cloak and dagger terms. And then
just as a reminder, if it's going to be a telegram, you would need to actually, unless you're forging it somehow, you need to actually have it sent from that place, because telegrams always say this is the station it was sent from.
I was going to ask that. Okay, so spoofing that.
And then
it's difficult.
Well, then I look towards Adrian and I say, "You think you could do that? You think you could forge a?"
Telegrams are a bit more difficult as they have a typeface rather than somebody's signature. Also, I've run out of art points.
I mean, all we need to do is we need to get a telegram sent here. And so then we've got the example, because that's the typeface, what it looks like here.
It'd be a bit finicky, but do we have anyone that we could ask to send a telegram to Mexico and ask them to send one back?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be from.
Yeah, we could go to one part of town, send it to the other part of town, right?
Yeah.
Manit actually says, I know someone who works in one of the Western Union office. If we gave him some money, I imagine he would be able to arrange a telegram that looks like it came from wherever you need.
Like that
would be excellent.
Could we see what he looks like first?
See who looks like?
The Western Union worker.
Oh. Say more. I'm not sure why you want that.
I just want to see if it's somebody that maybe we saw in the crowd that while we were at the pit fights that maybe you didn't see, just in case.
I mean, I'm happy to do it if you want. He is a person I trust.
Okay.
But you wish. While you guys are having this conversation on the ride back, anybody want to give me a sense trouble roll? When I say that, everyone always wants to give me a sense trouble roll. I need to work on a way to phrase that better.
Who makes sense? Do we all roll, or?
I mean, you can.
What is the target number?
I've got 4 points in it.
Target number's 4.
All right, let me spend 2. I'll do it.
Okay. I imagine that I won't roll. I'm busy, kind of improvising with Adrian the text. What's the text of the telegram going to be?
How do we want to phrase this?
How do we phrase Brooks sending us? Like these are people. these are people I trust. Trammell, we need to watch out for Trammell. Trammell's, yeah.
Okay. So James, as you're kind of, listening to this conversation going back and forth, it's kind of washing over you, just, a little bit of getting back in fresh air. I mean, this is, not exactly the freshest smelling of cities, but it's infinitely better than that warehouse. And you kind of glance back and you realize that there are a couple guys on bicycles who have been heading in the same direction as you behind you for a little while now. And you're pretty sure at least one of them was one of the staff guys at the fights.
So I'm going to casually kind of give Sal the heads up.
Mm-hmm.
How close are they? Let's say, in theory, Sal and I wanted to turn around and get our hands on them. Are they close enough that we would have a chance, or if they, as soon as they saw us turn around and go towards?
I mean, they're probably half a block back.
Too far back.
So if they saw you getting out, they would have a chance to get away.
We were headed back to our hotel. Let's not do that.
Okay.
So let's let our driver know.
Manit still with us.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Manit can tell him to go. Whereas just he wants to know, where do you want to go?
Manit, we need to go to a different hotel. I don't care which one, but another hotel, not ours.
Oh, okay. He nods and says something to the driver, who nods and makes a left turn, and the other one follows him because you're in two vehicles, and the bicycle guys also follow.
And I tell the three of you and Manit, we're being followed. One of them I recognize from the fights. We're going to go to whatever this hotel is. We're going to go into the lobby, and I am then going to immediately exit out of a side door or a back door and see what they're doing, whether they follow us in to this hotel or not. And we just need to hang out in the lobby and see if they come in. We need to figure out who the hell these people are.
Okay. Yeah, so he takes you to another hotel. It's I mean, hotel is maybe a little bit generous. It's basically a lot of shops on the ground floor and like rooms above it. But he has the driver drop you off and go inside. And James, you're certainly able to, well, give me like a stealth type of roll.
Sure. Yeah, because what I want to do is I want to see what their reaction is to us going in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to follow us from there? I'm going to spend a point.
Okay. All right.
5.
No problem. You're easily able to blend into the crowd here, and yeah, you kind of get around the corners where you can see him, and once everyone has gone inside, they sort of pull up opposite. They sort of look at the place, for a second, and then one of them looks over and says something to the other, and he nods, and then they both cycle away.
Interesting. I'll go back into the lobby where everybody is and tell them that whoever they were, they're gone now.
Head back to Hotel Europe.
I think so.
Okay. Yep. So the rest of that trip goes with that incident. There's no further sign of any shadowing.
I'm trying to think of what I want to do here.
In the meantime, I think Alice is still brainstorming with Adrian about the text, and it's like, how do we explain sending the telegram now, that they only received the telegram now while we are here already? How do we explain that?
Just in the telegram, we say, well, I've sent people, and they're gonna knock on your door tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we just wait a day. He doesn't know. In theory, he doesn't know we've been here for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
All right, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is you're drafting together a telegram that looks. And who are we saying it came from?
Brooks.
Brooks.
Brooks to Daniel Lohman announced that he sent 4 trusted people here, perhaps mentioning, Dominguez. The Dominguez thing was a bust. Dominguez never came back. I've got 4 people here I trust, show them so they can inform me, and just, complaining about Trammell, etc., etc.
We could also say, I mean, I don't know if this was a thing with telegrams. We could say that the reason it's coming from a location in Siam is because he asked someone to forward it for him so that it can be traced directly back to Mexico.
Yeah, but they've been in contact before, so
Yeah.
And our Manit's contact was said he could forge it.
Yeah, he can forge the point of origin, basically. So if we have it come from Mexico City, that'll probably be fine.
We've got his address, so getting a telegram delivered is easy.
So you're going to have that delivered tonight, tomorrow morning?
I'd say tonight.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Okay. It's a little late, but that's not unusual. Telegrams are often matters of some urgency. So Manit takes the information and goes off, sees his guy, says it should be delivered, within the hour.
Does one of us stake out Daniel's house, to see it delivered, see who opens it?
I'd be up for that. I can hang out.
Okay. Yes, you go over and stake yourself out in the thing, and surely enough, you see within half an hour or so, a young man in a it's not like they have a Western Union uniform, but he has like a bag with a logo on it or whatever. Comes over and knocks on the door of Lohman's apartment. He has to knock several times before the door finally opens, and it opens just a little bit. Doesn't look like there's a chain on the door, but he's obviously not interested in going very far. And the guy, the messenger hands him the telegram. He passes back what is presumably a tip and shuts the door. You can't get a real good look at him, but it looks vaguely like the guy Sal was describing, average height, glasses.
So I'll go back, let everybody know it's successful, and we now have an appointment tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, whenever we're ready. I think if we break cover, it's
Okay. So with that, I think the night probably passes without any further incident. No one comes and troubles you at your hotel. And then in the morning, heading over to Lohman's place?
Yep.
Okie dokie. So yeah, you get there. I mean, you tell me when you want to get there. I mean, it's like first thing in the morning, like 8 a.m., 7 a.m.
Late morning, early afternoon, somewhere in there.
Okay, sounds good. Little before lunch. Yeah, so you just kind of head up and knock on the door. And there is there's a long pause. Nobody answers immediately. Give it another knock, and after a minute or two, the door opens again, just a crack. And you see Sal, it's the same guy you were following the other day. He honestly looks a little hungover.
Okay.
He just kind of opens the door and looks at you.
Mr. Lohman, I assume you know why we're here?
He says, I know what the telegram says. He kind of moves back and opens the door.
Okay.
Lets you in. It's a small, 2-bedroom apartment. Looks like there's an upstairs section here. You know, not super clean, but nice. You know, he's got a couch and stuff, and he invites you to sit down.
No guards. It looks like he lives here alone.
Yeah, you don't see any sign of anyone else here.
So we need an update. Need to understand what's going on here as far as the operation is concerned.
Well, you'll have to get that from Savitry, of course. But does she know you're coming?
I'm not sure what Brooks has done. He's told us very cleanly that we needed to come here, check in with you to get an understanding of what's going on. And I guess, yeah, we'll have to go talk to her too. Is that something that you tell us what you know?
Has Konovalov sent you any messages?
He shakes his head. He doesn't, you know, it's not like he's doing a who's that. He just kind of shakes his head. Says, well, she's planning to be back on the mainland for the fights on Thursday. If you want, I can take you there and you can meet with her there.
What's today?
Today is Tuesday.
Tuesday. How do we go ahead, Alice?
So she's at Kokrak at the moment.
He nods.
Any reason we can't just go there today? Why wait till she comes to the mainland?
It's fine by me as long as she knows you're coming. Uninvited visitors there tend to not get the best reaction.
So how do we give her the heads up? We were told that you were the right person for us to come in contact with. Brooks made it very clear for us to, when we get here, to talk to you, and you would make sure that we have the information that he needs. Now, if you're not the right person, we'll let Brooks know.
I'm the point of contact, he says.
Okay.
I don't make decisions.
Not asking you to make a decision. How do we safely let her know that we're on our way to the island? And I think the 5 of us hop on a boat right now.
Well, I would send someone ahead first. I can go out there, let her know. We can head out tomorrow.
Perfect.
If it's that urgent.
Brooks made it very clear.
Mm-hmm. Greg, I'm going to need some kind of interpersonal skill spend here, whether it be, I don't know, persuasion, let's see, reassurance I could see, maybe streetwise.
Yeah, I think if it's okay, I think it's going to be intimidation.
Okay.
How many? Because what I'm trying to do is convey that, like, you need to do this. You need to take care of this, and yeah, I think I'm trying to intimidate him, hoping that he's somehow intimidated by Brooks. Now if it turns out he thinks Brooks is a joke, then this is a joke.
Or okay. Brooke, or the Samistry.
Mm-hmm.
That might be it. Samistry getting upset if she doesn't get to hear from Brooks.
Right. But you tell me, because I can spend a point or two in intimidation.
Well, it's really a question of how you want to play it. Let's see. You have a fair bit of assess honesty with you. So what I will tell you for free is that he seems to be being very cagey. I mean, he's not immediately accepting the telegram at face value. And you've seen people use this tactic before. He's giving you sort of very minimal responses to your questions. Basically, he's kind of seeing how much you know. So you're not sure he entirely buys what you're selling yet.
But I need him to.
Well,
I could try and help. I don't know if it would just make it worse.
I'm thinking that what was what was Brooks's lady's name?
Letitia.
Letitia. Is that, I've been standing in the back, and then I might remark that Brooks asked us to also share an update about Letitia.
He just kind of nods.
Samistry. She'll be very interested to hear this.
Where is he relative to us? I know we're sitting on couches in the living room.
Yeah, he's just kind of sprawled out on a couch, very, very relaxed, very casual.
Let's change that. I'm going to stand up, and I'm
Okay.
going to walk over and sit really close to him.
Have I heard other people in this house? People moving
It
around.
doesn't sound like there's anybody else here.
Okay.
I'm going to sit next to him and like purposely almost sit on his lap, like I'm going to brush
Right.
against him, make
Uncomfortably
physical contact.
close.
Yeah.
Yes. And look him straight in the eyes and go,
Mhm.
"You okay, Daniel?"
I'm fine.
Because I don't get the sense that you're taking any of this seriously.
I'm giving it all the respect I think it deserves. I'll pass the
Yeah.
information on to Savitri, and she can make a call from there. Like I said, I don't make decisions, but I'm happy to pass on information.
You're making me nervous, Daniel. And I'm going to pull my gun out and set it on my lap.
And he sort of looks at it, not he doesn't like get agitated, but I mean he's clearly it's changed the tone of the conversation for sure.
Do I need to be concerned, Daniel?
What are you concerned about?
I'm concerned about you. This is not the reception that Brooks told us we would have. He told us that we would get there, come here, and you would be our point of contact, and you would make arrangements. And now everything seems pretty cagey right now.
Brooks gave me a day's notice that you were coming.
You can take that up with Brooks.
Yeah, I will.
I need you to reassure me. I need you to reassure me that you are going to get that messenger out there to her and that you're going to take us there tomorrow. Make me feel better about this.
All right, go ahead and spend me that point of intimidation that we discussed. And he says, I told you I'd get it done. I'll get it done. Meet me here tomorrow morning. We can head straight out.
Okay. Can I spend a point in assessed honesty at the same time to get a sense of whether I believe him or not?
I mean, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. He basically looks like you think that everything he is, I mean, you said that he is going to get a messenger out to her. He is going to take you on a boat there tomorrow. You feel like there's still probably something else there going on.
I think I say, what time should we show up tomorrow, Mr. Loman?
8 o'clock.
Great. We'll be here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
If she has any message to give you before then, where can I find you?
We'll be here at 8, and you can give it to us then.
Okay.
And I don't know how to put this, but Brooks made it pretty clear, at least to me, that you are only necessary for a period of time. So I think it's probably a good idea for you to continue to be necessary for us. Does that make sense?
I think Brooks probably overestimates his influence on this part of the organization. You've never dealt with Savitri before, have you?
Never met her.
Well, for my end, I'm not exactly new, but I'm a bit fresher. See, I was brought along because I'm not the influencing type. I'm the researcher of this group. And from what I've heard, savagery has a lot to say about the origins and the truth of the facade, you know? So, sorry I'm not intervening as much here. This isn't quite my forte. I hope you don't mind that my friend's a bit more direct than me.
Everybody's got to be careful in a situation like this.
I'm ready to walk out. I might not even wait for the three of you. I'm super annoyed.
Yeah, and he basically just kind of says, you know, anything else?
See you in the morning.
Okay.
I can turn
Thank
to
you.
three of you and go like, what the hell was that?
Thank you for your time, Loman.
Mhm.
Are we about to do something really dumb?
Of course we are.
I'm wondering if it makes, you know, as we're taking a very roundabout way back to the hotel, checking out and stuff. Is
You
like,
don't see any sign that anybody's
No,
following you
but-
at this point.
I mentioned, you know, is it a smart idea to go to her? On the other hand,
We're going to walk into a trap.
I mean, would it be any better to meet her here in Bangkok?
We're going to have to get to that island at some point, right? I think it's pretty safe to say that that's where this arm of the operation is occurring. Obviously, she's a big deal. If we're going to do the same thing that we did in Mexico here, we need to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to be stuck on an island in a. Oh, jeez.
And to give you an idea, the island is about 50 miles away from Bangkok, so it's a little bit of a hike.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple-hour boat ride.
I don't know. Meet her is, well, we've arranged to go ahead there now. So, but would it be better to meet her in Bangkok?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I just, in my mind,
Yeah.
You guys know better than I do. And like, you can just sense how frustrated I am. And the one thing I turn back before I like take myself out of the conversation. I just turn back to the three of you and go, we're going to get on that island, whether it's tomorrow or later.
We will, James.
Then you guys decide what we're going to do. And I walk off.
Nasty habit on that one.
I don't know. I look to to Sal and Adrian. I have a feeling it's bad choices all around, but I mean, we came here. We may as well see it through.
Well, I mean, absolutely. While I would have preferred to get a look at this gal, know what who we're dealing with, two, to assess what sort of bodyguards or measures that she has in place. But it looks like we're going on a boat ride tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and it's going to be a trap. I look forward to it.
Yeah, perhaps we get as prepared as we can. Let's
Brooks has no power here, and it seems that at least a majority of the Mexican branch is all but dissolved. Jamel, we left the testament with Bianca, didn't we?
No, I thought you took. I thought you took it away from her. I don't know if you have it with you.
we did.
Or okay.
Because I know we gave her one book, and then we got one of the gross books, like the testament we got from Jamel.
You burned the gross book. The one you have.
Would we have brought the testament? I mean, because
that's what I was trying to remember.
If we brought the testament with us, then we have something that she might be interested in.
think it's less the testament, more the fact that it's a lot of information. I think the only reason Jamel hasn't immediately notified them is because that was simply his collection of information, and he doesn't want to show his incompetence in the fact that it's been taken. It was just it was a collection of letters and thoughts. I don't know if it was a religious text.
But I think we found at Brooks, we found that Trammell had warned Brooks about us, so he probably warned her as well.
Unless he thought that he had Brooks underneath more sway than Savitry.
But I think that
we're
meeting up with her. The question is, we've organized for tomorrow to head over there. Is that we try and Brooks is not, they're not impressed by Brooks, but we have information, we have stuff. I don't think she and Trammell are on extremely friendly terms, but we try and bluff our way through it. And
for the three of you know, I think you recognized that I am railroading this out of my sheer frustration. So I think the three of you would know that you could talk me out of this. But I think what you witnessed is just we need to do something, right? And this is my attempt of us doing something. And by no means have I thought through this, or by no means do I think this is the best idea. So I don't want the three of you as characters to think like we have no choice in this matter, because I think the three of you know you could point me in a different direction.
James around.
I would run there. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: if we don't show up tomorrow at 8 a.m., the gig is up.
Yeah. I think for good or worse, let's go in there. We'll meet up with her. Let's try and keep the impression that we are part of this organization. We don't necessarily have to. Let's see if we can sow seeds of dissent and see what happens, and just be as prepared as we can. We at least have a name, and I look towards Sal. I'd say, do you think it would make sense if you bring your cricket bag along on the boat?
Well, I would love to. I'm pretty sure that would be a bit out of place. However, I may be able to work a way that I can smuggle that in. Kind of feels his pockets and try to see how long is the cricket bat.
Yeah.
It's about baseball bat sized.
Okay,
maybe a little shorter.
it'll be impossible to get in.
And see if we can. Well, I can see what
I mean, you're tall enough that you could maybe like stuff it under your jacket, like up the back or something. But it'd be.
I think just bring your guns along. That's probably the best. And
there's no doubt about that.
of course.
They're like,
and I think I'm going to check with Manit if I can visit an apothecary today. See what I can get there.
Sure. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Meg.
No, go first.
No, I was just going to say, he will certainly be able to put you in touch with. I mean, he asked, you're looking for Western medicine?
Yeah, something. I'm looking for chloroform, nitroglycerin, so anything, any type of medication that I can weaponize.
Medication.
Yes.
Yeah, he can probably put you in touch with the local hospital. If you're actually looking to get some stuff, that will probably take some bargain or bureaucracy, or
I'll spend a
maybe
point
credit rating if you're just going to buy it.
I'll do credit rating, I think. probably
Okay.
through money, shady contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My only concern is this: we know that the gangs work with what's his name? Shit, I forget it.
Loman.
Loman.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
If we go buying guns and things like that from them, I'm afraid that they will report this back to Loman.
Yeah, but we're
And
not buying guns. I mean, you've got your own guns. I'm just through the getting off the black market from the hospital. I'm getting some medicine.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
disregard that.
All right.
Though explosives would be nice.
That may be a little harder to find at the hospital.
I may be able to play up again when I told Loman that I'm here as a researcher. I may be able to play that up a little if needed. I have been researching.
It's true.
Also, before the night ends, I think one of us should go talk to James. He was making such good progress, but I can tell he's getting frustrated.
Sal and Alice look at each other and then look at then look at Adrian.
Sal, I'll take care of it.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like we're mostly just kind of getting supplies ready and everything today. Nothing major. So yeah, let's take a look at that scene between Sal and James.
And I would be at my room, so.
All right. Sal's gonna go obtain some adult beverages.
Okay.
And then knock on James's door. Says, "Hey, you got a minute to talk?"
I open up the door. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Sal will walk in, shut the door behind, and says, "You okay, man? I know you're frustrated.
Am I okay, Sal?
as okay as you normally can be? I mean,
We're on the other side of the planet, figuring out how we're going to blow up a huge fucking mouth. And no, to answer your question, I'm not okay.
The issue is that when you take actions, and I understand you're frustrated. You and me share a common denominator. We both are men of action. We both are men of directness. Unfortunately, I think that being direct in this particular instance is going to get us killed. I don't like sneaking around. I don't like all this, buying favor here. Oh, here's your beer. Have a drink. And Sal will crack his open. Says, I don't like, buying favors here and spending favors here and all that shit. That's not my game. However, we are fish out of water here. And we're in someone else's pond.
I don't think I'm looking at you as you're talking, but you can tell I'm listening. I'm kind of staring off a little bit. And I put the beer to my mouth and I drink like half of it at once. And I set it back down. And then I do make eye contact with you. So we're not leaving here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not surviving this. You know that, don't you?
The odds are stacked against us, my friends, yes. However,
I think you need to start thinking and understanding exactly what this situation is.
I'm very clear in understanding of the situation. I also understand that I don't want to go rushing headlong into it. Information, getting to know some information before we go in, it's a good thing. No?
Then we don't go tomorrow. I don't care. But I feel like everybody's just pretending this is normal and pretending like everything is like okay. And that we're just, investigating some sort of stuff that you do in Chicago.
Drugs. It's not. No, this is, to be honest, I personally wonder why the fuck we're here. You know, I'm again, this isn't my playground. And I don't know what exactly we're hoping to do here, but I know that we're hoping to end this whatever it is, giant cosmic fucking mounds and all that. But is this our fight?
I think we're the only ones that can do this fight, and the reason you're here, Sal, is because of Bianca. Because if we don't solve this and we don't end this, it's pretty freaking clear that everything's at stake.
Absolutely.
So the three of you decide. I'll do whatever, but I'm not going to keep pretending and keep acting like everything's normal. And this is just us.
On a fishing trip.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. Sorry, Sal. Thanks for the beer.
I'll walk out.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we might go ahead and call it a day. I think that was a kind of a dramatic place to put an end to it, with us seeing where James's head is at. And in the morning, you guys have a boat trip to look forward to.
All right, we'll run
See you on
credits
the
and
other
be back
side.
to talk afterwards. All right, we'll be right back.
In a mansion grand where secrets lie, Walter Winston lived, but he had to die. His daughter Janet, fierce and bold, hired a team to find the stories untold. Oh, Walter Winston, Mr. Mystery Man, caught in a web of a sinister plan, with cults and crimes and shadows so dark. His story ignites like a match to a spark. Ex-cop, doc, gangster, nurse in the mix, unraveling truths in a dance of tricks. Swinging through secrets, meet the moon's gleam. They chase the whispers of a deadly dream.
Well, I sucked all the oxygen out of the room, didn't I?
Well, this is one of those things where I feel like if I'm going to be a responsible GM, I have to start by asking questions like, is this character frustration or is there player frustration? that we
Oh, it's
need to look at?
100% character frustration.
Okay.
It's 100% character frustration. I think what happened for me, and me being James, is I think last night at the fights and seeing the loser getting chopped into pieces and thrown into a grate
Mhm.
just really made me realize just how far along we are and how far away we are from anything close to normal.
Mhm.
And then encountering Loman and feeling like I was 80% successful, getting dissent from the other three of you, which was well deserved. It's just, I think James is boiling over a little bit. I mean, my stability is not great, even though numerically it might be good.
Mhm.
This is not how I live my life.
I think the events on Kokok Island are going to be pivotal
Yeah.
to what happens in the future with James, and indeed probably everybody else. But as long as I've got you talking, any other thoughts and stars and wishes?
Thoughts. I think this was a really cool session. It was a downbeat session, or not downbeat, but
Mhm.
a less action packed session.
Sure. Mhm.
Really felt a sense of place, which is always really important for me as a player, to feel like I am where the character is. So I was there the whole time. Really appreciated having a one-on-one scene with you, Chris. I think that was very, very cool, and really, I think takes our relationship at a next level. I think we have obviously we were on different sides of the law in my previous life and in your current life, and we've always bonded on the fact that we can be men of action. I really loved that it was you that came up to talk to me, because I think the conversation would have been very different and a lot shorter had it been Alice or the doctor. I think you're about the only person that I was ready to just throw up all over. So my star was getting a chance, Chris, to do that one-on-one with you. I think that was really, really great for me as a player. And then wishes. I hope James hasn't messed everybody up by taking us to this island. So I wish that we survived the island.
It's a sandbox, Greg. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, and
No, I
the
know.
world will react. It's
I'm really enjoying this character and really enjoying this game.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. Chris, how about you?
Sal understands and actually is very much in the same boat as James is. He feels like I mean, like I said, he's a fish out of water. This isn't his gig. This isn't his backyard. He doesn't know, his normal grounding points are he understands, the streets and crime and things like that. When you move to as far out of Chicago as we are, things aren't the same. And then with the knowledge that hey, local gangs are, being paid or protected or whatever, that's a resource that he can no longer use. So my star for tonight was definitely James. I mean, there was a huge amount of great role play, but man, the frustration, and you did a fantastic job, Craig. So yeah, that's my star. Wishes, man, this next session should be interesting, and oh god, we're gonna die sort of way.
I like it. Mac, how about you? Thoughts, stars, and wishes.
Thoughts first. I'm really happy that it was Sal that went up. Because I really wanted to avoid it just being Adrian that goes up every time.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to like kind of get into a mode of, all right, these characters usually talk to each other after this happens. But selfishly I want to see more interactions between all the characters. And in character, Adrian noticed that from the beginning, James has seemed to be at his side most. Even whenever we first got off the train, he seemed to like be closest to him for some reason. So he's trying to get James to be able to trust the rest of the group more before we go into whatever this death situation is.
Love
Super
that.
smart. Yeah.
Yep.
He's trying to not be the linchpin, because it really seems like James thinks he's a linchpin at the moment. He's like, no, dude, I'm 25. I am 25 years old. I have an umbrella. Stars, I think. I really liked seeing how Alice tried to maneuver, especially first going to the not the embassy. What was it called?
The legation.
The legation. Just it's really interesting seeing a character who was in the Great War and is now kind of getting back into the mode of that level of espionage that's needed, but also is it's like if it's World War One, but it was War of the Worlds. There's a game called All Quiet on the Martian Front, which is basically the Martians come back, but it's during like the World Wars. It feels like that for Alice, of just like, okay, I'm used to the espionage part, but the mouths are a new thing. It's like just how much Alice is such a straight-laced and so practical of a character that trying to keep that edge while dealing with something incredibly eldritch is such a fun character dynamic to see.
Absolutely.
And wishes, I think I'm very excited for. I don't know if he'll survive to this, but if Adrian does end up talking with Savagery or someone who is kind of big on the theory behind the cult, how much he's going to give away and how much he's actually going to, because his whole thing is that he's constantly thinking and he's like the genius detective character. How much trouble he's going to get himself in with how much he says.
I look forward to seeing that myself. And finally, Miss Naomi.
Thoughts. Well, I still have no idea where we're going, but I think that the thoughts what I like in the interaction is what I feel is that, we're trying. It's a bit again like Mexico City, trying to do this in a smart manner, but not have the resources or, well, just to be quite honest, the patience. So I think that Alice feels like, okay, we are blundering into it again, just like Mexico City. But on the other hand, hey, Mexico City, we brought them down and we survived. So maybe this time. So I think that Alice is just like, okay, I don't know if it was a good idea to go to the island, but let's just get as prepared as we can and we'll see it and we'll wing it. We've got everything. We'll see what happens. So I think that's my wish is I just can't wait to see are we going to bluff it? Are we going to try and bluff it and it turns sour? Are we going to try and, I don't know. We're trying to be prepared and it's going to be very interesting. So we're not so much playing to win as to, I think really playing to find out and hopefully survive. Yeah. we'll see. But I mean, we've done pretty well so far. So let's see. And I think my star is the stability rolls that we made at the fight, where both Adrian and myself got 6s, and it's like for entirely different reasons we're not affected, or at least very different. I think Alice is purpose. Alice is like, okay, whatever. This doesn't matter. I'm focused on other things. Adrian is like, getting fueled by the injustice, but then just seeing James utterly fail, and Sal also, and that I'd be really interested to know is how Sal, failed it as well.
Well, for Sal, he has a very boxed in or very set idea of violence. There are rules and regulations that you follow in the mafia. You generally don't target women and children, and just the sheer brutality. I mean, not saying that being a mafioso isn't brutal, but this is a whole new level of brutal. This has absolutely shattered his understanding, or his he's so far outside of his comfort zone within the rules that it was kind of like this is what's going to happen to you if you screw up.
Yep.
Yeah. Adrian's description of the reaction to those fights was one of my favorite moments of this episode. It's a lot of fun. So I guess the one last question, which I should have asked before we went out, is are you guys going to bring Manit with you or tell him where you're going or anything like that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we won't bring Manit, but we will let him know is that we all let him know we are going to be heading towards someplace very dangerous. We might not come back. And then I think that, in the powwow between the four of us, I just say, I think we can trust Manit. If there's anything you want to have sent out in case we don't get back, give it to Manit.
And we can talk about that next session.
Yeah.
I don't wanna get too deep into that now.
Yeah.
But
that'll be quite a thing to say to James.
That is an
I can
interesting
tell you.
line of thought for
Yeah.
sure. So you guys can ponder on that before.
I'll play tomorrow.
Well, I have bad news for you, Craig. We're not scheduled to play until next year.
I know it's going to be a whole 2 weeks. Play next year. Coming up Monday is the next episode of Blade Runner, the most recent hit here on the channel. We were having a tremendous amount of fun there. I get a chance to play, and then after the holiday, during the day here on the East Coast, late afternoon, you get a chance to see me run a game with Naomi and 2 other players. It's called The Gas Station. It is a little zine that was brought to my attention from Sam Dumwald, and it is it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. Definitely kind of a creepy pasta liminal space horror. And I think it'll be just one session. So tune in, follow us on socials, blah, blah, blah.
Sounds like fun.
See everybody soon.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Howdy friends, thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.